America and the rest of the world. Xander J. Hobson here, stand-up comedian, entertainer, director, and producer of boxing documentaries, and internet troll. To those who need internet trolling, this here is another episode of The Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Brilliant Artist Movement. Folks, listen, we're trying to grow the platform, so please subscribe, like this video, hate this video, share it, leave a comment in the comment section. It could be something nice, or it could be something nasty, but just know, if you say something slick and greasy in my comment section, I want to deal sternly with your punk ass. I say, yo! Knock it the fuck off! I'm the troll's troll, and trolling me will not be tolerated. Anyway, I was watching some Muhammad Ali fights, particularly Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton 1, 2, and 3. And first and foremost, it is my opinion that Kenny Norton had Muhammad Ali's number. In fact, Kenny Norton had Muhammad Ali's number even more than Joe Frazier, because Joe Frazier beat Ali that first fight, and that third fight was questionable. Maybe if they wouldn't have stopped the fight, maybe Joe might have got the decision, maybe he wouldn't have. But Kenny Norton beat Ali all 3 times. He had Muhammad Ali's number. Kenny Norton, a combination of himself and Joe Frazier. From what I gathered, Ken Norton was Joe Frazier's sparring partner for 5 years. And I'm sure that he and Joe had some wars inside that boxing ring. I know for a fact, on at least one occasion, Kenny Norton tuned Joe Frazier up. And the reason how I know is because I was hanging out with the great Buster the Demon Drayton, junior middleweight champion, and the great Mike Rossman, former light heavyweight champion. And Mike said to Bus, man, I remember one time we was down at the gym and this dude came in there, man, and he tightened Joe up. And later we would find out, man, that guy was Ken Norton. So this is from the mouth of a world champion who saw it firsthand. I wasn't around, because this probably took place in maybe around the 70s when I was a young kid, and I wasn't even thinking about boxing. But my point is, Ken Norton had Muhammad Ali's number. He beat him in all 3 of the fights, if you're asking me. Definitely that last fight, Ken Norton clearly won that fight. But I said all this to say this. There is a lot of speculation. Dream fights is what they call them. And I used to participate in dream fights, what ifs, but I just kind of sort of stopped doing that because it's a circular conversation. Nobody really knows what would happen if these guys squared off, because they have to square off to get a definitive answer. For example, I would have thought it was no way in hell that Hector Camacho would have been capable of beating Sugar Ray Leonard. And maybe he wouldn't have beaten Sugar Ray Leonard had they fought earlier. But I tell you one thing, when they did square off, Hector Camacho trashed Sugar Ray Leonard. So that's why one can never say what would happen, because if you were to go back to the 80s when Hector Camacho was up and coming and Sugar Ray Leonard was in his prime, you just would have never had even envisioned Sugar Ray Leonard and Hector Camacho in the ring together. But I said all of that to come to the crux of my argument or my conversation. If you're asking me, the Muhammad Ali that fought Ken Norton, those 3 fights, and Joe Frazier, that first and that last fight, Mike Tyson would have steamrolled. I think personally, if you're asking me my opinion, based on what I saw, Mike Tyson would have knocked the Muhammad Ali that fought Joe Frazier and Ken Norton out. Probably would have stopped him inside of 10 rounds. Mike with ferocious punching power, with speed to match Muhammad Ali's. And I don't think Muhammad would have had what it took to actually knock Mike Tyson out, because realistically, Muhammad Ali wasn't a big puncher. Now, this isn't me talking because he punched me. This is me just looking at most of the tough guys that Muhammad Ali fought. He didn't knock them out. George Foreman collapsed from exhaustion. Not that Ali wasn't beating him up. Now, if the Muhammad Ali who fought Sonny Liston squared off against Mike Tyson, if you're asking me, he would have boxed Mike Tyson's brains out. And there's a strong possibility that he might have even knocked Mike Tyson out. So, once again, we're back to the speculation, because I'm saying on one hand, Mike Tyson would have beaten Muhammad Ali. Then I'm saying on the other hand, that Mike Tyson wouldn't have beaten Ali. Well, it just depends on the Muhammad Ali that Mike Tyson faced. So, I guess I said all of that to not say a goddamn thing, huh? Because we are right back at square one. We don't know who would have won if Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali would have fought. But I tell you what, it was a lot of fun speculating. I'm done with it. Bam!